The final battle with Breed begins, and Doflamingo returns to the forefront in my review of One Piece, episode 628. I'm probably going to catch a little bit of flack for this, but honestly, I enjoyed this 3-episode filler arc way more than the entire Punk Hazard arc, and I think that's a testament to its quality. It had a lot of really cool action, it had a pretty interesting villain that really didn't get bogged down by an unnecessary backstory. His entire backstory really consists of like a 5-second clip of like his old comrades saying, "Get out of here, dude, you're a douchebag, you never pay your rent, and you always drink the fucking milk, and you only leave just a little bit." But no, in all fairness, Breed is really awesome, and the final battle with him is great. He basically turns into this like giant, legendary Super Saiyan who can pick up giant sea rabbits, spin them around, and create a giant tornado. I just love when anime gets ridiculous. And this was a really fun fight because you got to see Law and Luffy return, and this is where we get to learn about the glaring weakness of the Pedo Pedo fruit. Apparently, the only way to avoid this technique is to do this. Pretty threatening technique, huh? Law apparently realized the secret to his abilities long even before Luffy and Law's battle, and we can see that he was wearing earplugs the entire time, and he actually saved him and Luffy as they were falling out as they were going to the ocean. So that was all a big ruse. We all knew that was going to happen. This wasn't going to be the final episode of One Piece where Luffy dies to a freaking filler villain. But what's great here is we get a great action scene where you get to see that Breed uses his powers on himself. He tells himself to basically kill all of them, and that's where he transforms into this big hulking beast. And he uses all of his pets as weapons, which is pretty damn strange, but then again, this is One Piece, they can get away with this. Luffy and the Kung Fu Dugong do a combination punch right into Breed, and they send him flying, and he even does like a Team Rocket sparkle as he flies away. And that's like the entire end of his story. You never see him again, you never get to see really what happened to him. I can assume that they probably killed him, though, because all of the weird, like, collars around their neck just immediately disappeared. Or maybe he was just heavily incapacitated. All I know is they didn't follow up on his story. Like I said, his whole backstory was just him being thrown off a boat by some people. That's about it. And you know what? I'm okay with that, because this entire filler arc flowed really well. The episode could have ended with Luffy and his friends saying goodbye to the Kung Fu Dugong, but they actually gave us just a little bit more. At the end of the episode, they get this newspaper which reveals that Doflamingo has left the 7 warlords, and everybody's shocked by this. They go around the world, you see everybody's reading the paper at the same time, and not only that, but he has decided to leave the throne of his kingdom, and everybody is outside of his castle freaking out trying to get his attention. There's a million snail phones going off at once, which is actually kind of funny, and there's a real ominous scene where Law decides to pick up the phone and give him a call, and then Doflamingo picks it up after a very, very slow walk to the phone, but it's still really tense and awesome, and that's when he actually tells him himself that he has left the 7 warlords. To be continued screen, ending this episode, which was really good. I have no complaints with this one, which is saying a lot because this is a filler episode, but this was probably my favorite filler of the entire One Piece anime series. This is probably my favorite filler of the entire One Piece anime series, and one of my favorite filler arcs of, like, any anime, honestly. It just flowed really well, all the pacing was good, the action and the animation was really good, and I thought for the most part, most of it was better than Punk Hazard, if only for the pacing, but honestly, I liked seeing the Kung Fu Dugong again. It was a nice callback to the Alabasta arc, and maybe they'll bring him into another filler arc again. I really wouldn't mind seeing those guys again, especially considering it looks like he's going to form his own, like, pirate group of sea monsters, which I'd like to see maybe just one filler arc just about those guys. I don't know, I just think it'd be really funny, and they've really grown on me. But obviously, the big stuff at the end, Doflamingo is leaving the 7 warlords. That's going to be pretty big. He's obviously doing this because he wants Caesar Clown back, but he's also left his kingdom, so Law has really pushed Doflamingo to the edge here, and it's pretty obvious that Doflamingo himself, you know, he still has that shit-eating grin at the end, but obviously he's in, like, the most serious state that we've seen him in the entire series, and I'm glad this is finally happening, because he's definitely one of the more mysterious villains of the series. I want to learn a lot more about him, his backstory, what his true motives are, what he really wants to accomplish. And obviously, I just can't wait to see the next episode because we're going to get back into the actual canon material. At least that's what people are telling me. Remember, I do not read the manga series. I pretty much just watch the anime. But still, I love this one. Good action, getting back to the canon material. Just a lot of fun. So I'm going to just drop a 10 on this bad boy. If you're following the series, definitely check it out. If you're following this filler arc, it's a lot of fun. The Peto Peto fruit arc is done, and it's time to head to Dressrosa. But how did you guys feel about this week's episode of One Piece? You can tell me with your comments below. You can tell me about your favorite moments, funny moments, what you hope to see from the following arc. Remember, guys, me and Christian just got done working on our very first review of the very first Naruto movie, Ninja Clash in the Land of Snow. You can check it up right up top and in the description box below. And remember to subscribe if you haven't already. So, I'll see you next time, guys. Super Kami Guru 9000. Out.